The trouble started over clouds. Mariang Makiling was stealing the clouds off his mountain, complained Monte Banahaw. She was doing no such thing, said Mariang Makiling. Clouds were clouds, as Monte Banahaw should know, and if those silly clouds on his mountain chose to flock over to her mountain, what could she do about it? She could stop luring them over, said Monte, and he could start fencing them in, said Maria. He was losing cloud at the rate of 40 head a month, said he. His business goals were no business of hers, said she. But this, he insisted, was, so to say, a case of cattle rustling, and he could sue her for it. Cattle, said she, weren't her line. The wild woodland creatures, yes, but herded cattle, ugh, she just couldn't stand them. Maybe that was why she didn't get on with Monte Banahaw either. He turned pale when told what she had said of him. The feud was on. Messengers flew back and forth between them as they wrangled and jangled and dickered and bickered and brawled and broiled. She mostly kept her cool. He was always in a rage. She heard that he now called her that Maruya of Makiling. He should talk, she said to her ladies. Why, he has nothing inside him but a heart of a banana, all bluff and bluster, all huff and puff. He can't blow me down. He makes just about as much wind as an Banahaw fan. How her ladies laughed. Monte Banahaw became Munteng Banana to them, and they taught children to sing a nonsense jingle about him. He had spies everywhere. Of course, they had to report how even the Canto boys had taken to singing the jingle over their gin and dog. How did the cruel jingle go? Banana kill, banana heart, banana fritters, banana fart. Banahaw fan, fan of Banahaw, they go bananas on Mount Banahaw. Enough to make Monte go mad with rage at his foe. So he ordered a case filed against her in Santa Cruz town. Neither of them appeared in court. They sent their lawyers. And now the trouble spread. The case lagged and dragged. It looked funnier and funnier. Can clouds be rustled? Are clouds cattle? Are they property? Are they goods at all? The Makiling lawyer was always scoring. The Banahaw lawyer was always being caught snoring. And finally, the case was thrown out of court. The complaint was absolutely worthless, said the angry judge. Monte Banahaw almost had a fit. He sent for his lawyer. The lawyer didn't come and could nowhere be found. And now, Monte learned that all this time, his lawyer had been visiting Mount Makiling. He had been invited there. He had been royally entertained there. He had been won over, of course, right there. And right there had been taught how to be snoring at the right time. And there too, of course, was he being hidden from his master's wrath. Monte Banahaw filed another complaint in court against Mariang Makiling. She had abducted his lawyer. She had kidnapped his attorney. She had corrupted his legal counsel. She had made a mockery of justice, and justice should punish its mocker. Police were sent to Mount Makiling, where they were stopped by security guards. Did the police have a search warrant? No? Then, very sorry, gentlemen, but no warrant, no trespassing. Army troops were sent to Mount Makiling. They came in trucks, in battle array. Monte had a lot of political pull. This time, there were no security guards to stop the troops. The troops stormed up the mountain, but once on the mountain, they began to act very strangely. They threw away their helmets. They threw away their guns. They made no search. They made no arrests. What did they do? They chased butterflies. They picked flowers. They waded in the brooks. They lolled on the grass. They came down at twilight with dreamy smiles on their faces and flowers in their hair. And they were all hauled off, still grinning away to the stockade. But no more forces were sent to Mount Makiling, because the folk who lived around the mountain were now up in arms. Why was there Mariang Makiling being persecuted when no crime had been proved against her? When, in fact, the case against her had been dismissed as worthless. And at this time, the missing lawyer turned up. Like the troops, he had a dreamy smile on his face and flowers on his hair. And he looked just too happy to have been abducted or kidnapped or corrupted. He said he hadn't been abducted or kidnapped or corrupted, so that settled everything. And he went home and went to sleep for several weeks. When he woke up, at last it was to learn that Banahaw had fired him. Banahaw was boiling mad. Mariang Makiling must be made to suffer. And if I can't do it by fair means, cried he, I shall do it by foul. Now, you may wonder why he should be so mad at her over just a few old clouds. And you may be guessing, it's not those clouds. He just doesn't like her. And you will have guessed wrong. If he was mad at her, it wasn't because he didn't like her, but because he liked her too much. The truth is, he was in love with her. He had been madly in love with her for a long, long time. But she didn't seem to notice it. Or if she noticed, she didn't seem to care. Well, how could she when he never came a-courting? He didn't send her flowers. He didn't send her candies. He never wrote her a letter. He never asked could he visit her. He wouldn't even come serenading. And why should I, he would fume. I look funny with a guitar. He would indeed, being always dressed for battle. He was always in olive drab and combat boots and ranger's hat. He always carried knife and gun, and he was always accompanied by dog and hawk. When he came down from his mountain, panic spread over the land. Wife and husband quarreled, brother and brother fought, even the timid ran amok. Sleepy villages awoke and made war on each other. Everyone was in awe of him, but not Mariang Makiling. She took no notice of him at all. Shouldn't she feel flattered to have him in love with her? Wasn't this an honor she should be proud of? But where was her gratefulness? He was the fairy king of Mount Banahaw. Ancient was his domain. He was the Lord of might. Wind and thunder raged at his command, and he was the god of war. Man and boy wore his amulet for strength in arms and victory in battle. It was for her to come and offer herself. It was for her to bring harp or guitar to serenade him. It was for her to do the wooing, because wooing was below him. She knew how great he was. She too should be praying to me, thundered Banahaw. And that was his error about Mariang Makiling. He shouldn't have regarded her as in any way below him, because she was in every way his peer, his equal, his match. If he was fairy king of Mount Banahaw, she was fairy queen of Mount Makiling. If he was lord of might, she was lady of beauty. And if he was god of war, she was goddess of love.